Question. Kim, how do I know if I'm one of the 10,000 live streams who have the potential to manifest full Christhood in this lifetime? I've explained in several videos that the Ascended Masters have said that right now on Earth there are 10,000 people in embodiment who have the potential to reach a higher level of consciousness, which we can call the Christ consciousness. And they can reach the fullness of this in this lifetime. There are millions more who can reach a high degree of this Christ consciousness. And the person is saying, or is this just a sense of superiority kicking in delusions of self-importance? I am sure that you will point out the importance of not getting that answer from an external source, but rather reaching inward for the answer. However, I feel and have felt from a youngish age that this was a real potential for me. At the same time, I have an awareness of the fact that I unfortunately have within me some sense of being superior or entitled, or that I am not from here, and I am not like the people from here. I know this is not the case, but for whatever reason, my live stream, I have a hard time letting this ridiculous belief go. Anyways, your website have been with me for a large part of my life since I was 19 or so, and have been a tremendous source of light and guidance. You are too humble sometimes and don't give yourself the credit you deserve. Thank you, Kim, for deciding to stay with this planet a little longer and helping us out. Okay, so what I would say here is what you're dealing with is very simple. You have an intuitive sense that you're one of the 10,000. But you still have a subconscious self that somehow has tied this into being superior or better than others. And what I would suggest here is, I've actually talked about this in several of my YouTube videos, that the ego sees everything as a source of superiority. So you come across the spiritual path, you're hearing there are higher states of consciousness. And the ego says, oh great, when you reach this higher state of consciousness, I'm going to feel really superior to those who don't have that level of consciousness. That's just the ego. So you can come to see this. You can come to see you have a subconscious self, probably from past lifetimes, that tied this spiritual attainment into a sense of superiority. And you can use the tools and teachings the Masters have given for dealing with the subconscious self. You can also try to expose the self by realizing that if you really understand Christ consciousness, the higher you go in Christ consciousness, the less superior you feel. I met many spiritual people who don't get this, but that's because they haven't experienced. They have a theory about what Christ consciousness means, they haven't experienced it. Because what is Christ consciousness? For you, it's that you attain oneness and integration with the Christ mind, which is the one mind that ties everything together. That everything is an expression of the greatest being. That's the Christ mind, the one mind. So, when you experience that, not a theory, not intellectual understanding, but experiential, you see what Jesus meant when he said that him who would be greatest among you be the servant of all. Because you're seeking to raise up the all. If you want to be superior to others, you're seeking to raise up yourself, but you really want to keep other people down so you can be superior. And you're also realizing that if everybody came out of the same source, then the whole thing of some being superior to others is meaningless. Yes, you may have reached a higher level of consciousness. It doesn't mean you're superior to others. You're not better than them. Because as you reach a higher state of consciousness, the whole dualistic value judgment just fades away. It becomes meaningless. And so this is one thing. But the other thing is that you're most likely an avatar. And so what I would do is watch my whole playlist about avatar psychology, go to some of the books that I talk about in there that Masters have given for resolving this, our reactions to coming to Earth, especially the book Healing Your Spiritual Traumas, and work on this, because you see again, the ego will misinterpret everything. So you hear the concept. 10,000 people have the potential to manifest full Christhood. Yeah, they have the potential. The ego doesn't hear potential. No, it's going to happen. No, it's only going to happen if you resolve the psychology that prevents you from manifesting Christhood. So it's not an automatic, it's not a given. You can be one of the 10,000 and you can fail to manifest Christhood because you're not willing to look at your psychology. So what I'm saying again is, you can have a correct sense that you have the potential, but you can only manifest that potential if you're looking at the psychology, these subconscious selves. And it's not uncommon that avatars have this sense of being superior because we came from a natural planet where we didn't have all of the murder and mayhem that's going on Earth. So when you look down from the viewpoint of a natural planet on Earth, you can see that people are manifesting all this stuff because they're in a lower state of consciousness than you are. And so when I'm not necessarily saying you feel superior on a natural planet. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, could be the case. But when you come down here and you receive the birth trauma, you experience that you're unwanted here because people don't want to listen to you. They actually want to continue suffering. Then you can get into this superiority, inferiority, where because you haven't done and you're not doing the things that people are doing, you're superior to other people. And the person is mentioning feeling entitled. And that's something I recognize in myself, and I've seen in many spiritual people. We feel as avatars that certain things shouldn't happen to us because we haven't done to other people those things. And therefore we feel it shouldn't happen to us. We are entitled to have an easier life. But what we are forgetting is that the fallen beings have their free will. They're in a very low state of consciousness. They feel threatened by us, and they will attack us. So again, as you raise your consciousness, get rid of some of these subconscious, the sense of entitlement will fade away because you realize what kind of planet you're on, and it's meaningless to feel entitled to anything here. You're in this very, very difficult environment where bad things happen all the time. And you can't ever feel that you are entitled to an easy life. It's just naive to feel that way, and it's only a subconscious self that can feel that way. It's understandable that as avatars we created these subconscious selves, but it just comes upon where we have to look at them and let them go. Because it saves yourself from a lot of heartache when bad things happen to you. Which they very easily can, not because of your karma, not because of your psychology, just because somebody in a very low state of mind decided to do something. For whatever reason, Perhaps there was an attack by dark forces who are using that person to get to you, but nevertheless. So I'm just saying, the person is saying, you are too humble sometimes and don't give yourself the credit you deserve. But I don't see myself as deserving any credit. I'm not doing this to get credit. I'm not doing this to score points. I'm just, you get to a certain level of the path where all the outer things just fade away in importance, and you're just being an open door for your higher self, the ascended master. You're just expressing what comes to you, and you're also making certain choices. You're seeking to help raise the whole, and you're not doing it to get credit. You're not doing it to be superior. You're not doing it to be better than others. It's just who you are that you're expressing. And all of these value judgments, they just fade away at a certain point. And this can happen to anybody. That's why I'm saying, you seek to raise your consciousness by dealing with these subconscious selves that you can see. You can already see them, which is a big advantage. So use the tools to get rid of them, and you will see that it just fades away. Your sense of superiority, your sense of entitlement, they're just subconscious selves. And once you dissolve them, you're free of it.